to the talk box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, you're listening to the talk box with Son. You're listening to the talk box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Talk box.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Good morning and welcome to the Talk Box Show on today. I have an exciting show today. I want y'all to know that my co-host is my beloved, my firstborn, Devon Crutchfield is here today, and we're going to talk about building healthy relationships. Before we get started, you know what I say? Rise and shine. We got another opportunity to get some things right that we didn't have quite right on yesterday because we are in the land of the living. So I want to just introduce my beloved, my firstborn, Devon Crutchfield, the visionary relationship person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hand claps, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, Mom. How y'all doing out there?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Wilhelmina. Good morning, Perry. Good morning, Teresa Flores. Devon, I'm not sure if you're able to see the people who's coming on. But if they ask any questions, today is Q&A, you guys. So if you have any questions or comments, you know, I'm a Baptist preacher, so I need y'all to talk back to me. But we're going to go to a whole different level on today. So D, I'm going to let you get started on today. So what's your take on building a healthy relationship?
Yeah. So first, a little bit about me. You know, Devon Crutchfield is my name. Of course, Sonia is my mother. And I'm married. I've been married for now. It'll be 10 years in June. And I've got 2 kids, on my own business. And basically I've been doing that now for about 3 years or so. And basically when I listen to podcasts these days and I hear some of the advice that's being given about relationships, especially from some of these people with large platforms, 1 million plus subscribers, the advice is just so awful. It's so bad. It's clear that a lot of these individuals don't necessarily have their own relationships. They clearly, with some of the principles and the views that they're espousing, you know, it's clear that they don't have healthy relationships. It's not clear that they've ever been in a healthy relationship. And then if you look into their background a little bit more, you often find out that these people are saying, hey, here's what you need to do if you want to be a good man or a good partner for your wife or your husband. And yet they've never been in a successful relationship. And they're not married now and they don't have children or, you know, so they haven't done, I think a lot of us are kind of looking for the traditional, you know, husband or wife and have kids, that sort of thing, but they've never done those things. And it shows in the advice that they're giving. And basically my concern is I feel like if we don't, as a society, start having people who have lived through those experiences and have made those things work, then we're basically going to have a, you know, continuing declines in birth rates, skyrocketing divorce rates are going to continue. And I just think, you know, for society, it would just be good if we had more realistic and practical advice and we heard from those people. So that's why I was really excited that, you know, you allowed me to come on to the podcast today. So I'm excited.
I am definitely excited to have you here. I know that some things in regards to relationships we're spot on with, but some are not. But and that's great, because what I think makes a successful society is just great communication. And you're not going to see things the same way as I see it, or I'm not going to see the same way that you see it. But when we can communicate about things, we can build people up. And so I think that this is a great topic this morning. And here on the Talk Box, we like to talk about everything. And just in case you don't know, this platform for me is to help people to on their journey for abundant living. And in order for you to have abundant living, you got to have some healthy relationships. Right. And I think that the breakdown of relationships, whether it's husband and wife or mother-daughter, whatever the case is, it leads to an unhealthy life. And so when you told me you wanted to talk about this, I thought it was like a great thing to talk about. So my question to you is, and congratulations on being married for 10 years. Myself, my daughter, my husband, those that know you from my side, we look at you as a great example for a husband. Let me say that, a great example for a father. And a man, as in regards to relationships, and that's why I think that you're so great for this topic. You know, if you read, I sent my son a present this week, and it said about me being proud of you, and because you are a great father and a great husband, and so homage goes out to you about that. So how do you explain your balance in your marriage and in fatherhood, the marriage that you have? Mm-hmm. Because nobody's relationship is perfect. Right. Now, we know that. Mm-hmm. So we just want some truth and transparency right now. You know, how did you get to the place that you are? Have you always been with a mindset of being a great husband and great father?
Yeah. So the way that I got to where I am, so, you know, short answer, no, I didn't always have the mindset. I remember you and we had some debates back in the day about my, you know, sort of my demeanor and my perspective. I knew that there were certain things that I wanted from a partner, but I didn't know of really how to go about getting them. And the way that I was trying to go about getting my needs met, and this is something that, you know, I'll talk, you know, go into a little bit deeper here in a moment, but basically I was trying to demand that I get X, Y, and Z out of the partnership. You probably remember those.
I remember that.
Yeah. So back when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was with a person primarily that was more kind of a, you know, traditionally submissive. And in that relationship, I basically was saying, here are these things that I need and I have to have. And the way I was going about trying to get those was the normal, you know, I'm the man, I'm the dominant one, you're the submissive one, I need X, Y, and Z. And not necessarily taking it like I was not an equality view. I didn't have an equality perspective at that time. And what occurred was after that relationship, I started dating my wife now, and basically in more of a normal kind of healthier relationship. So in that relationship, this individual did not communicate their needs. There were things that towards the end of the relationship, I didn't even know she needed, which is kind of a downside of submissiveness. A lot of times is the person doesn't actually tell you what they actually need. They don't feel comfortable doing that. And so you wait, and then you find out they're not even happy. And this whole time you're happy getting your needs met, and they're not getting their needs met, and you had no idea.
Well, let me break in right there. So what I'm hearing is that was a selfish type relationship. It's me. I need this, I need that. And it doesn't matter because what that other person needs. And that's an unbalanced relationship.
Sure.
Now it can be twofold. Part of that was actually your problem, your fault, because you never stopped to say, well, do you need something or do you need this? Because we get in that one-sided relationship, and that is like, I love this, the love language. It says, the love language book, and it says that if you are constantly taking but not giving, it's like going to the bank, withdrawing all the time but not depositing anything. Somebody is going to be lacking something, and that will cause somebody to be miserable, to be bitter, to be resentful, and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Definitely. And so that's something I kind of learned after that relationship with this individual was exactly that will in the long term, destroy your relationship, because a lot of those times people will hold that baggage and then eventually they'll hit their breaking point and then they just leave. They just file for divorce. And I think a lot of people wind up doing that because you have to be very in tune and, like you say, communicating. So with my wife, now it was always a very balanced situation. And it was always, when we first started out, it was very rocky. And so we had to lay down this foundation of respect. We had to develop our communication skills and then basically work to meet each other's needs. And through that, when you're, as a man, they tell you, you always hear about the woman should be submissive and you're supposed to be dominant. But I think more important is leading by example in your relationship. So, for example, especially in our community with Black women, but I think in all communities, women, they also want to be respected. I know that's obvious, right? To a lot of people hear me, but women, it's important that you respect them as well. And I think that and sometimes men say, I want a woman who, doesn't have an attitude with me or whatever, and who respects me. But if you look at the way they talk to the woman, they don't respect her. And so, of course, you get a lot of attitude back from her because you're not actually respecting her. You're not mindful of the fact that you were disrespectful in some way to her. And she's just kind of putting up a mirror there. And so if you want to take the high ground, you have to first say, hey, I love you. I'm trying to meet your needs. And let me show you respect first and show you that I'm always respecting you. And then once they see that and they can buy into that, then it's a lot easier for you to say, hey, I don't want a relationship in which I'm disrespected and I have a concern about your tone there. And then they're willing to concede that ground and only talk to you with respect, because you're also doing that for them at the same time. And so what I learned from my wife back when we were dating is just how to show that you're putting in a lot of effort. And then once you show, hey, I love you, I'm putting in effort, I'm meeting your needs, that makes them want to go ahead and meet your level as well and put in that same effort. And then every time you do like that, y'all are just constantly one-upping each other in the amount of effort that you put in to your relationship, and the love that you share, because it's just like a cycle, basically.
Right. Well, let me say something about that. From a religious, I go from the religious standpoint. When we, especially as Black women, hear that, from a biblical standpoint, we're supposed to submit to our husbands. Well, I think that people have the definition of submission wrong. I think that if we look at it, if your husband is being the man that he's supposed to be, it's not hard to submit to somebody who has your best interest at heart. It's not hard to submit to somebody from a biblical standpoint. The Bible tells us that man is supposed to love his wife as Christ loved the church. So that's love there. And then we are supposed to respect him. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell us to love our husbands. It says for us to respect you. And so, but if somebody is loving on me, it's easy for me to respect and submit to them.
Mhm.
And so I think that we got submission mixed up. I think that, well, you can't tell me what to do, but when we have a balance, it's like a dance that you do. I think relationships, whether it's husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or in any capacity, it's a dance. It's a give and take type thing. And sometimes I'm gonna be better in this area. Sometimes you're gonna be better, but it's a dance. And one thing that I enjoy with you guys is the dance. Watching y'all do the dance thing. I've watched you through the years, and I remember when you were dating, and you came to the house one day and said, "Well, I want her to do this." When I want her to, and I'm like, dude, everybody doing that, but when I want her to, where I want her to, type thing. And really and truly, I look at you. For those who just now coming on, because there's a lot of people on right now. This is my biological son, my firstborn, but he is an excellent example of a father and a husband. And so we're talking about building successful relationships. So if y'all have any questions that y'all want to ask him, just type them down in the drop down, and we'll get to it. I'm actually watching the comments as well. But building healthy relationships and being successful, I think it has a lot to do with the dance. But you asked a question earlier to me. And so I'm asking now, is there any deal breakers in a relationship? Or what was your deal breaker?
Well,
your last relationship?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely have my deal breakers, but there was no deal breaker in particular. I felt like, when I met my wife, it was kind of a love at first sight thing, and really, I was just young, and I didn't want to marry someone else without pursuing the relationship with my current wife and kind of running that on and figuring out what that was going to be like. So I think for us, that's really, kind of how we got started. But I honestly, I believe that the whole concept of submissiveness, honestly, I just believe we should throw it away. I think we should throw it away, light it on fire. I don't think it has any place in a modern relationship these days. And the reason why is because when, for a couple of reasons, and we'll go into these, but the first one is, first, I don't think men really want or need submissiveness from a woman. And I'll go into why I believe that. And then the second reason is basically in a modern society where women can divorce men when they're not happy. Basically, it's not practical. Almost no one can be submissive all the time and then be in a long-term relationship and be happy. Really, what women are offering is more of a give and take. That's why a lot of times when you ask a woman, can you be submissive? It's like, yeah, it's for the right man. What that means is if he does for me, I'm going to do for him. And that's not both of y'all are doing that. That's not really submissiveness. So those are the two reasons. But the one I want to elaborate on first is this idea that I don't think men really want or need submissiveness. So basically, when a man says that he wants submissiveness, it's kind of like a lazy shortcut. So when men don't actually want submissiveness, that's a concept that is a tool for a man to get what he actually wants by demanding it instead of earning it. So,
oh, wow. Yeah. Amen. Say that again. That's good right there.
Yeah.
They want to what? Demand it.
Yes. So I realized that basically when society has built this concept of submissiveness, it's basically a way for men to get what they want from a woman and get their actual needs met by demanding it instead of earning it. And so when you have, so for example, let's say the classic example is like men have these needs in the bedroom that they want met. Okay. There's one way that you can get it. One way, kind of a more traditional way, is at 8 o'clock every night. You can go up to your wife or whatever and say, hey, it's 8 o'clock. Come to the bedroom. I got needs that need to be met. And just demand that she go in there and do her job. Okay.
Okay.
That's one way to get your need met.
All right.
Another way to get your need met, though, is, hey, it's 7 o'clock. Okay. I know you like me giving you a massage, have a candlelight bath, let me do something romantic for you. Let me set the mood or whatever. That's what you like all the time. My wife loves massages. And then after that, you say, basically, at 8 o'clock, this is what I like to happen. And she's like, hey, you're meeting my need. It's, usually not tit for tat like that.
Yeah.
But, hey, you're meeting my needs, so I want to meet your needs.
Right.
One of them. And so in that latter case, you earned it. You do for her, she does for you. You don't demand anything. And with the latter case, she can do that consistently. She doesn't feel like you took anything away from her. She doesn't feel like you disrespected her. You get what you want. Your need is met, meaning she's meeting your needs in the bedroom, but then you actually earned it. You didn't demand it. And so I think in the real world, when someone can work their own job and they can get their needs met that way, and they can file for divorce and leave you, then what you really get is a tit for tat. You get a relationship, a team. It's an exchange. In the long term, it has to be an exchange. And so men running around feeling like, oh, I can demand it and get it. It doesn't work.
But what I'm saying to you, and I'm looking at the comments, I got Kawanda Eddings is on, and she says, I don't think we want submissiveness, but we do have the desire to have a strong-minded husband that can lead. I think that is confused with submissiveness. And Marilyn says most women want a man or leader they can submit to. And also said, I have to disagree with that. I think people don't understand the biblical definition of submission. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Because the marriage layout in the Bible is really give and take. But people take it and twist it up the way they want to, as like you were saying, I tell you to do this and you just got to do it. But it is a give and take thing. But I'm going to tell you something else about a woman.
Real quick,
I'm going to tell you something else about a woman, though, that I like what you were saying. Angelique loves massages and stuff like that. I think when it comes to the bedroom, you got to understand that romance starts way before we take all of our clothes off, especially now that you have small children. So helping out with the kids, easing her chores around the house, that looks sexy to us. We can get in the mood a lot easier, a lot quicker when you're helping, when that balance is coming about. And so that is being, I think submissiveness is a give and take thing.
Yeah, but that's not submissiveness by definition. And that's the thing. That's why, hey, throw it out then, because different people have different definitions of what submissive is. When you see men on these podcasts talking about a submissive woman, they're talking about I demand and she does. That's what they mean. And so women, some women, I see women in the comments, well, that's not the biblical definition of submission. These men have also read, the Bible supposedly. Okay. But either way, if they don't have your same idea of submissiveness, then why use submissiveness? If you mean give and take, that's not really acquiescing to somebody else.
Okay, I get it. In this season, we need to use a different terminology.
Yeah, just use a different terminology. So let me give a perfect example. So in my relationship, we went into it saying before we got married, that me as a man, I want to be able to have the final call on all decisions. Okay. In 10 years, I have overrode her decision and used that card, played that card one time. It was related to some tires where she's a frugal person. She wanted to get some inexpensive tires. It was a safety issue. I listened to her. I saw her research. She saw mine. And basically, I said, hey, I understand, but this time we got to go, with what I'm saying here, because she slid in an icy patch into an intersection and it could kill her next time, right?
Right.
If you have a man if your balance of power in your relationship is like 50.0001, the man, where every once in a while, out of necessity, he says, hey, listen, I hear you, but we can't do that right now. Then that's one thing. And I think most women would be perfectly fine with that.
Right.
But in the day to day, there is no submissiveness, because it's more like you and I decide that I'll make this money and then you'll do the cooking and cleaning. We decided that jointly. And then but also, to be fair, I do a lot of cleaning myself because my wife needs that. And that's every single day I'm cleaning, and that's fine. But we make these decisions together. And so there's no reason to act like when her and I make a decision and she winds up cooking, that she's actually being submissive. That's not submissiveness. We came to an agreement there. Submissiveness to most people, I think, and kind of colloquially, is the wife doesn't actually want to do X, but because you're the man, she's doing it. And that doesn't really work like that in the long term. It causes this imbalance. So yeah, I think men can lead without being domineering and overbearing and inconsiderate. That's fine. I'm not saying men shouldn't lead. I'm just saying the submissiveness concept, we just do away with that. And like I tell, Angelique, the only place in submissiveness that I want from my wife, the only time I want to be submissive, is in the bedroom. And in that case, y'all can negotiate. Y'all both work it out amongst yourselves. How y'all gonna play that out? You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I just don't think we have any place for it. Say exactly what you mean, which is we both need a give and take.
Right. I agree with that. I also, I'm an old head, and I've been in a long-term relationship. My last husband and I were married on and off for 18 years. And now this is a new relationship for me. And I think one of the main reasons, I'm going back now, because I don't want somebody to miss it. I'm sitting here reading the comments. But the main thing, I think, to help build a healthy relationship is not getting caught up in that old relationship that died, that was thrown out with the bathwater, into this new relationship. That's what a lot of people problem is. Because Johnny did it like this, I want it done like this now. Or because he wouldn't do this, this is what I want now. I think that to build a healthy and successful relationship, I got to take the person that I'm in a relationship with right now and build from there. And speaking about relationships with even our children, it's like you and I, you being my firstborn, you being my boy, my male child, is a different relationship than the relationship that I have with my daughter. And I think that's the easiest concept to pick up. We treat our children different individually. It would be very unhealthy for me to treat you the same way that I treat my daughter. And I think that's what we need to get to in our relationships with our significant others. It's very unhealthy to treat Perry the way, and look at Perry through Leonard. You know what I mean? Like my last husband. And I think that's what's causing a lot of breakups too. Because we have not healed from the last broken relationship. And I say all the time, you cannot fix what you can't identify. And if you don't realize that you are holding this one that you're in a relationship with, you're holding them accountable for the negligence in the last relationship. That's why some people, I counsel people a lot. And some people, I can listen to them and I'll listen to both parties and I'll say, especially if I've been knowing them a long time, I done knew them through 2 or 3 different relationships, and I'll have to tell them that wasn't Angelique. That was, that other person. You know what I mean? So I think that one thing we need to do is heal. Somebody write heal in the comments for me, because we want these healthy relationships, but we're not giving ourselves time to heal from the last one. I think that I ran into trouble with that with my husband now, because initially at the beginning of the marriage, because he hadn't healed from his last relationship, and he brought that into our marriage now. And it almost tore our marriage apart. And all it was he needed to heal. I think that I had an advantage over him because I had been divorced from my last husband for 8 years, and I had stopped dealing with him on a intimate level for like 5 years and wasn't dealing with no. So I had healed. So I was able and capable of coming into relationship and not holding him accountable for my damage that was done before. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I had children in the background. I muted myself. Okay. One of the things that I think we'll come back to, and I see it in the chat too, is communication. And that's a real skill. And that's why I say, before you even get down to some of the like practical steps that you can take to build a better relationship, you do have to get your mindset right. And that's why the first thing I always want to talk about is mutual respect and equality, because that at your foundation helps you to communicate better. Right. And I think when it comes to communication, in a situation like you're talking about, if the two people have good communication skills, they can kind of suss out when the partner is really applying some type of mindset or belief that's related to somebody else that's not you. It's easier to pick that up because you're like, hey, I've never done that to you. So when I said or did this, why did you assume that meant I was going to do Y, or that I did Y? And I think when it comes to communication in general, I think everybody has to slow down and really listen and again, stay respectful to each other at all times, because you can hear that type of stuff. Like when I listen to other people in their communication, not necessarily things that happened in the past, but for me, it's a lot of disrespect. Like I've heard people and the reason why I bring this up is because that type of disrespect kills communication before you can even figure out stuff like you're talking about, where they're applying these bad standards from their past relationships. Like guys, I've heard men in real life say, hey, look, I make this money, so you get in there and mop the floor. Like I've literally heard guys talk to them like that. And so you just kill your communication from the very beginning. And I think when you do have good communication, you can hear stuff like, hey, I don't do that. That was something that you had with your last partner. So, I mean, it comes back down to communication all the time.
Yeah. I remember this. Me and my husband was having a disagreement, and you and Angelique came over to help. And that's something else that I think is missing. A lot of times our egos, our pride, our whatever get in the way of something that can be great and magical. As a matter of fact, you know me, I got to go back to the Bible. The Bible says when you can get that dance together, no good thing will he withhold from you. He said that marriage covenant is a great mystery. But when you can acquire that great mystery, all kinds of doors will be open. And so but we get so prideful and our ego get in the way, and you got a situation and everything like that. And we get to thinking that you know, you don't want nobody to know. Well, call me crazy, but I'm getting older. So whatever it takes to fix the issue,
100%. Yes.
I'd rather fix the issue than throw out the
That's
baby
true.
with the bathwater.
So true.
And so you came, and so in other words, I said all that to say this: it's okay for you to reach out and find some healthy relationships, other people who's in healthy relationship. The Bible says, do not reach out for unwise counsel. And I thank God for you. You know, you don't just side with me because I'm your mom. You know, you'll be like, Mom, you know, that was wrong. You didn't have no business, you know, saying that, or try saying it another way. Right. And so it's okay to get wise counsel.
Absolutely.
Don't never get so caught up, because we'll end up throwing out something good, something great. Even when catastrophic things happen, I don't believe, and I'm not saying this from a silly woman point of view, but I don't believe that infidelity or I don't believe that anything is a deal breaker. Mm-hmm. Because if you can communicate, you can get past it. Because money, you know, the different things that causes breakups, money, infidelity, you're not getting pleased in the bedroom, whatever. Those things can be fixed with the right communication and the right guidance.
They can. But can I loop back to what you said about that ego thing? Because I think that is so true as well. I think early on, that's one thing that I realized was that at the end of the day, if I had a good partner in front of me, I was going to do whatever it took within reason to meet their needs. And I was going to kill the ego. So as far as in our relationship, the way it goes is, if you're wrong, you just admit you're wrong. The faster you admit you're wrong, the better. Just go ahead and say, hey, I was wrong about that. So like, and it gives you the high ground because they see you always admitting you're wrong. They're willing to admit they're wrong. So for example, like about the tone in our relationship, whoever notices the other person getting a bad tone has the right to say, hey, look, you're getting a tone. Can you, you're getting a tone with me right now. The other person can never say, well, I got a tone because you have a tone. It's always, hey, I'm sorry, I'm getting a tone. I might have felt like you had a tone with me and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just told you that I didn't like your tone, and I apologize, and I drop that tone immediately. That's the rule. But if you have this ego, you always want to be right. And that kills your relationship. It just doesn't matter. As soon as you figure out you're wrong and that they're reasonable, just go, let it go and drop it.
I say this about that. And this is in everything, you guys. I got a lot of single people on the line I see, but I got a few married folk on too. And I hope that this conversation is blessing you guys, and a reminder that we'll be back on tomorrow to finish up. But I'll tell you this, truth and transparency goes a long way. Truth and transparency. Now, some of y'all don't, even my kids sometimes question me about me and my relationship with God and the things that he talked to me about. But there's no need for my husband. I think he finally getting it. It's a process. But if God tell me something, I can bank on it. And so that it was the thing that the enemy tried to destroy me and my husband's relationship with, because my husband would use, and he's on the line, so I'm gonna let him chime in, and me and him now is at a place of truth and transparency. He would lie to the end, go down with the ship, and I think that was something that is taught to a lot of men too. You don't admit it. You do not admit it. I don't care. Eddie Murphy started that jump way back when. He said, even if she saw you in the bed, it was you. Don't admit it. Well, that will destroy a relationship. We have to learn how to get to truth and transparency. Most of the time, you're only lying to yourself because your partner already know.
Definitely.
With women, baby, we're on a budget. You bought another pair of shoes. Now my son bought them for me. Man, they already know. They saw the credit card bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you're stacking up lies upon lies. And that was something that I used to tell my husband all the time at the beginning of our marriage. I said, I believe that you use lying as a defense mechanism, as a shield. I've been hurt by this, and this. I'm not, I'm not going to reveal that. The other thing is, when a lot of us women say this, I'm going to get on to us for a minute. A lot of us women will say, I can handle it. I can handle it. And then men have been in relationships that the woman said, well, I can handle anything but a lie. Because that's my thing. I can handle anything but a lie. But then when the man tell you the truth, you get upset. So that makes him not able to tell you the truth. So we as women need to be open and acceptable to the truth. When your husband say to you, you put on something and you think you look good in it, and he tell you, baby, that's too tight. Or that's this, that, and the other. And I like the way I'm looking in this. Don't ask your man or your mate for the truth if you can't. You know that movie that says you can't handle the truth. You got to get to a place where you can handle the truth, because truth and transparency is a mixture for building healthy and successful relationships. Because if you're a liar, I'm going to say this to my biblical folk, then God said, lie no more. Then we got to start being truthful with yourself and truthful with your mate, so that you can build a great relationship.
I agree with you, because another thing on that is, if your partner, they may not, so there are two things, and I look at it from more of a less of a religious standpoint, but I think it's still just as valid, right?
Yeah.
So first is, if your partner, you can kind of tell when people aren't telling the truth, and when they're not telling the truth about something, or that they're not telling the truth about something, you can't even move past the issue and start healing again until the explanation that you give them is the truth, and it sounds like the truth, because they know what you're saying is kind of fishy, and you can't get over it until they have the truth. So it's very important to go ahead and say it. The second thing is, you never know what they even know. That you don't know. Like, a lot of times people walk into traps thinking their partner doesn't know X and their partner doesn't know Y and Z. And the only way to avoid those traps is just to be honest from the very beginning. Right. And if you mess up, just say, hey, I messed up, and this is what I'm going to do to make sure that it never happens again. And like, for example, for me, it would be hard. So to say the truth, that's the first thing. But even before that, before you even mess up, set your life up to where it's hard for you to step out of bounds anyway. So that you never put yourself in a position where you feel like you need to lie about anything. Because if you never start doing dirt, you never have to worry about dirt coming back on you.
And never having to worry about covering dirt up.
Yeah, you never have to worry about covering it up. And so for me, like, my life is like insulated from that. I tell my wife, like, for me to cheat on her, somebody have to break in. I work from home. She knows where I am at all times on my phone. Like, it would be another thing, like somebody like Kevin Samuel saying, if you make six figures or whatever, you got to expect to share that man. That's ridiculous. Okay. If you're a real man, you want to be at home at night for your kids so you can tuck them in and like raise them and stuff like a good father does. And so that stuff doesn't even come up when you're on your P's and Q's. You don't have even time for any of that side stuff. And so, but if you keep doing the right thing, you never have to worry about lying. You never have to worry about the dirt. And so, yeah, if you've done dirt, go ahead and tell them and get it over with quickly. But more importantly, don't ever start the dirt.
Yeah, that's even more important. Don't start it.
Yeah, don't do it.
But I have to. I teach and preach and practice out of my own life experiences, and looking back on some of this stuff. Me and my husband was laughing about it just the other day, because we were talking about you're gonna come on the show and stuff, and I said. Yeah, I said when we was all having that group conversation, I said it was only making sense to him. You remember that conversation when he called himself telling the truth, and we were in a group setting with 3 couples, and my husband was telling this story, and everybody in the room was like, no, that makes no sense. A lot of times, I'm looking at it from a spiritual perspective. A lot of times the enemy will make you believe the lies that you're telling. You'll start believing that stuff. So that's
nobody else does.
You know what I mean? And it makes no sense. If you tell anybody else, it makes no sense. So again, I'm with you, D. If you start safeguarding yourself, safeguarding yourself with the money. You know what I mean? Like if you got a budget, you stick to the budget. If y'all got an agreement that you only because me and my husband are blessers. We bless people a lot. But we got a thing. If we bless anybody with more than $100, we have to ask the other one. And so that way he not going to me and going, babe, where that $300 go? Well, Sister Wilhelmina needed this. And so I didn't know, because he should already know that. That's a trap. You got to understand that if you want to build a successful relationship, I think that everything should be all the way across the board. But a lot of times you men, I don't have a problem with my husband having my cell phone code, my email code, but men don't y'all jump on me. It's a lot of men on the line right now. I see you, Tony K. Bard. But a lot of men have their ego and pride is part of the you don't need my code, my phone stay locked, and they sleep on top of their phone and stuff. That stuff looks like you already setting yourself up for failure.
But you are.
My question to you, husband, father, son, how did you get to the place that you were able to let her have your location and let her have access to your phone, your emails, everything? What caused you to be able to do that?
That's a really, really good question. And I think a whole lot of people miss this, and bear with me here, because I think there are a couple things, and I think they're extremely important. First off, you have to, as a man, you have to be honest with yourself and your partner. Do you want to be faithful? Do you even want to not cheat on this woman? Do you want to spend the rest of your life sleeping with one woman? You either do or you don't. You were either willing to do what it takes to keep this person happy, and so you'll stay happy, or you're not. And I don't think a lot of people are really honest about, do you really want to stay faithful? If you do want to stay faithful, so first off, you got to get that down. And if you don't want to do it, tell your partner, hey, like, I mean, again, I know you're coming at it from a religious angle. I'm coming at it from whatever it is.
Just be real.
Just being real. Whatever it is that you want, give that person an opportunity to give you what you want above board. If you say, hey, look, I need some other type of alternative arrangement or something, because you know you can't be faithful, just tell them up front. You don't have to lie about it. Just be honest. So be honest with yourself and with your partner. First, do you want to be faithful? If you do want to be faithful, then take the steps necessary before you do any dirt. Take all the steps necessary for it to be hard for you to do dirt. And what that means is give your partner access to your phone and give them code. Like, for example, it would, like, you've heard of dating gurus or whatever. They get a little platform like this platform. Next thing you know, the man's cheating on his wife, right? This has happened. This is there was a popular dating advice person that gave dating advice recently, and him and his wife broke up because he had started cheating on her. Because when he got some fame, women started hitting him up in his social media. It would be impossible to hit me with that because she has access to all my social media. She has access to all my email. She has access to everything that I do. And so because of that, there's no way I could get caught up with that, because before you ever start doing dirt, you give them access to everything. So you got to be honest. Like, if you, like, we're men and we're not used to a whole lot of this attention from women. And I think it's a lot easier to just kind of tempt us and that kind of thing. And if men are in an environment where women are constantly kind of throwing themselves at them, it's just a matter of time for the average man to wind up doing something. But if your partner has complete access to everything, it makes it very unlikely that you'll do it, very unlikely that it'll go too far. It just sets you up at a position to in a position to succeed. But it starts by going ahead and giving them access. And if you're not doing anything, you got nothing to hide. And I'm an auditor by trade. And people who are innocent don't run around talking like you can't see my stuff. That's weird. That's weird. If you're not doing stuff, why does it matter if they're looking at your stuff? And if you're not doing stuff, you know what they'll do? They'll check rarely. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, they'll almost never look at it because they'll know you're not doing anything. Right. So it's just better for all parties. But I think, again, you got to be honest. Do you want to be faithful? And then if so, take the steps necessary to be fully transparent and give them full access to everything.
Well, what I've learned is those that don't want to be transparent, or they make it a must that they don't have to be transparent, even if they're not doing anything right now. Yeah. They're setting it, they're leaving the door open, right, for them to do it just in case, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna tell you something, you guys. The just in case mentality is going to happen. Why? Because people don't like to see you happy. So they want to break up your happy home. Right. And if you leave a door open, somebody gonna walk through it.
Yeah, women that don't even want to.
I agree with you. You need to safeguard yourself. I had to ask myself this too. Am I happy? I'm like, I'm really happy. So I need to, if you're happy and you're content, that don't mean that it's perfect, right, because no relationship is perfect. I think I want us to talk about that tomorrow. But at the same time, I look back over my life and I look at the different relationships that I had. And for whatever reason, Perry Carney is just the bomb.com for me. So
I can tell.
You can tell.
I mean, really. And I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, thank you, baby. So what can I do? You know what I mean? And then my mom used to tell me all the time, you do whatever it is, whatever it takes. That way, if something happens, you know it's not you. And that way also, not to put my other best friend under the bus, but they'll miss you too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you do everything you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But if you safeguard, my thing with men, come on, guys. We know that the number one thing that men need, I don't care, I'm a female, but look, it's their needs met sexually.
Yes.
That is one of y'all number one. Me, and I get, oh my God, when I am counseling people and they come in and they, well, Miss Sonia, we don't never do it. We don't never do it. Or she don't believe in giving fellatio. I said, well, does she receive fellatio? Well, yeah, she want it all the time, but she won't give me none.
Yeah.
Because whoever you want, I'm talking to the church folk now. Whoever it is that won't give their spouse and meet their needs in that manner, then mother so and so on the motherboard,
Absolutely.
the usher on the door, a choir member, that or somebody on the street will give it to them.
Mhm.
So we already know that that's what y'all that's something that you need.
Absolutely.
And so I do a thing, D, and you know about this. I do Adam and Eve Day. Me and Perry does Adam and Eve Day. Where we do everything like the Bible said, we naked and not ashamed. And that teaches him intimacy, because sometimes you men have to grow up, regardless of what your age is, that every time you see a naked body, you don't need to try to jump on it. You know, it might not be that time. But it teaches you intimacy, and it teaches us how to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
So if we're cooking and cleaning, and we end up having a great time, and most of the time it ends up that way anyway.
Mhm.
But I know that everybody's not like me. But at the same time, we got to learn how to meet each other's needs so that you don't have to go outside of the circle
Yeah.
to get
100%.
that need met. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean that I have to do everything? As far as in the bedroom, I think that you should try it. There's a couple of things that I now do in the bedroom that I thought I would never do, and then figured out that it was enjoyable for me.
Mhm.
So sometimes we're just cutting ourselves.
Yeah, I think in that regard, anything should be fair game as long as it's not a deal breaker type, boundaries being crossed, but you just shouldn't have that many boundaries. There should be basically none. And you be open to anything, like you say, open to try it. But I think that what you said about men not being honest about their needs sexually, I think that is a big issue. I think, at least from my perspective too, and I think for a lot of guys, we don't want to pester y'all about it, but it is a real need. And I think it's more important than a lot of women realize. And I think a lot of women kind of discount it as kind of like a childish, like adolescent, like it's not important. It seems like they diminish the importance, and they don't understand that after a couple days, depending on the guy, but for me, I'm frustrated after a couple days. And
Me too, baby. You know, your wife say me and you just alike.
Yeah, exactly. There's a very noticeable difference. And yeah, you can't, if you're not doing something for your partner, how can you expect them not to go out there in the street and try to get their needs met? I mean, obviously
Right.
they're going to do that. So just go ahead and meet their needs. Now they have to meet yours too. And that's why I say, like, I'm an advocate for equality, but I'm not talking about a man being a simp. I'm just saying, like, meet her needs and then she'll meet yours and make sure your needs are being met. But yeah, the sexual one is just extremely important.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to wrap up for today, you guys, but we'll be back on tomorrow. I'm gonna give you a moment to do a last comment for today. But I just want to say this about the needs being met. That's not just in the bedroom. That's overall. You meet my needs, I meet yours. I'm gonna tell this quick story, then I'm gonna let you end it out. But the other day, my husband, I've been working a whole lot. And my sex drive is very, very high. That's why your wife say that me and you are just alike. We see a lot of things alike. And he rolled over and I got it. You know, we were good that morning. And he forgot his headphones and stuff. But it energized me. Although I was tired and I was this, that, and the other, it energized me to the point where I got up, I cooked his breakfast, I packed him a lunch, then he forgot his headphones. I done ran to his job to take the headphones, and he came home and said, the people, they were laughing at you this morning when you came to my job. I said, what? He said, they started saying, it was a crazy woman driving real fast in the parking lot. We thought to ourselves, one of us men done messed up. They said, but it was your wife bringing you your headphones. It's like she was excited You know, I got excited. Oh, he done left his headphones. He like to listen to his music on his job. Let me run. And not only that, I had dinner and everything. So when our needs are met, this goes for both sides. I'll go over and beyond to meet your needs when you meet my needs.
Mm-hmm.
And he go over and beyond to meet mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. What's your last comments for today? And we're going to see you guys again on tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's your comment?
Just echoing that sentiment. I mean, I think when your needs are met at home, and that's one thing we can talk more about it tomorrow, but you know, honestly, your partner, your spouse is the best person to even meet those needs. I mean, I really want to talk about how, you know, honestly, a lot of men are trying to go out here in the street and find something, but honestly, your partner's the one who knows you best because y'all been together for years. You got years of practice. Okay. And you can't just go out there and safely get what you get from your wife just out in the street. And yeah, like you say, the more you put in, the more they want to put in, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I'm glad again that you invited me. I had a fun conversation, and I'm looking forward to it again tomorrow.
All right, you guys, thank y'all so very much for coming on with your girl Sonia and my co-host, my son, my baby boy. He'll always be my baby, Devon Crutchfield. It's been a blessing to see y'all on today, and y'all make sure that y'all sharing the live so that somebody else can have a blessing. We'll see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye.
Bye.
Let's do it.
You're listening to the Talk Box. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, you're listening to the Talk Box with Son. You're listening to the Talk Box. Let's talk about it.